Today's June 30th. The month of June is over for the Pirates. 3 months down, 3 to go. We're at the halfway point, and we have a lot to take away. Also, very little. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Cool. What happened? Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear anything. Perfect. I got nothing, man. Test. Nothing. We'll be right back.
There we go.
I don't know.
Looks like we're good.
All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so we're good. It seems like we're good. I don't know what happened. It seemed like I lost all of my audio except for the audio that was local. So, yay. Hey, Brock, what's up? All right, let's see. So we've got Michael.
I'm gonna take 1 second here, real quick. No, I did not get to go to one of the games this weekend.
Oh,
we have our nephew in from Ohio. He's 3.5 years old. Couldn't really take him to the game. I really wanted to go. I actually had Friday and today off. Like, I totally could have went. Couldn't have went to see Skenes. I had to work Saturday night, but kind of bummed because we were planning on going, and then when we agreed to have him for this week, totally forgot that it was the Pirates Braves in Atlanta, because we were totally going to get tickets and go.
all right. I don't know where we were at, but we're just going to roll with this thing. We're good to go. I'll probably have to do the same thing where, I won't be able to.
Just saying hi.
Yeah, we were just saying hi. Okay, so I'll probably piece it together audio wise. We'll figure it out. I stopped all the recordings and everything, and I just started them in the middle of that. So I'll find a good place to start. Let me actually there, because I think I have something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pitt City, what's going on? He says big win today. Skenes best pitcher in baseball's all. That's true. So,
yeah.
Is it true? Maybe.
It's too early to say, but
It is.
I mean, he's setting records already. You know,
Is it at least worth it to say he's in the conversation?
Yeah.
So
I've actually heard somebody on, I can't remember which one it was, on MLB Network. They were talking about the All-Star game, and they're like, Skenes is who everybody's going to want to see.
yeah,
He should be there. I don't know that he has enough starts. I don't really care either way, to be honest.
yeah,
But
I get that.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah, I get that. All right, so today we're going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the games in Atlanta, and then we're going to go into basically like a June recap of things. The fact that we're halfway there, 3 months down, 3 to go, kind of a thing. It's actually just over 81 games, right? 81 games would have been Friday's game, 40 and 43. So we're just a little bit over. But essentially, like, everybody considers the All-Star break as halfway point. We know that it's a little longer than that, but I think that's when it's like, okay, now we're pennant chase type stuff after the All-Star break. It's like a, mad dash. But, when you look at it month-wise, we're 3 months in. We got 3 to go. We're right at that midpoint, so we're going to talk about that. So let's start off with talking about the Braves series a little bit, the weekend. I got to ask you, and I texted you about this, so I got to ask you, did Ashley root for the Pirates? We've had 6 games now with the Braves. Because if you guys remember, and I don't know if I have that clip still, I sent it to you, but it's essentially, you made a bet last postseason that if the Braves go one and done in the postseason, that Ashley was a Pirates fan this year. And I said, but she gets to root for the Braves. And you said, yeah. And I was like, what about when they're playing each other? And you with the biggest grin ever, said she has to root for the Pirates.
So she forgot all about that, apparently, or, forgot about it.
Okay.
I said, she said something about the first two games. She said, yeah, we won the first. I said, yeah, too bad you're not rooting for the Braves this year. And she's like, what? I said, I don't know if you remember, but you should be rooting for the Pirates in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I forgot.
So then she did today?
No.
But in her head.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe she brought us a little bit of luck today.
I'll take what we can get. Salvage that, not get swept.
Yeah. All right. So
tough games, man. Tough games.
Tough games. Yeah. Split the series in the season, though. You know what I mean? So there is a little bit there. You won at home. You lost the series away. Obviously, offense not what you would want it to be. But at the same time, I feel like
we do that every year with them.
I think last year we might have actually beat them. We might have actually been ahead of the game. I can check very fast because I have that one page open. So I can legitimately check that really quickly. Atlanta, no. That doesn't make sense. We didn't play. Oh, we played 7 games against them last year, 3-4. So we were 3-4 against Atlanta. So they did beat us last year. Yeah. Didn't we sweep them though?
I know we took the series against them at home.
Okay. Well, we lost all 7 in 2022.
Ooh.
So that's fun. All 7 games against the Braves. But this year, a little bit different. We did take our series at home, and then we lost the series here. Avoided the sweep.
Mm-hmm.
You really want that Skenes game. You always want the Skenes game, right?
You always want the game that ends up 2-1 in extra innings,
especially when you had a wild pitch right there.
Yeah.
So I've got thoughts on. You want to get into Skenes right now? Oh, we split the 4-game series against them at home.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, you last year. Yeah. Mutu is saying that's last year.
Yeah.
But I decided last Friday, I'm just going Mutu right here because I don't know how to say this. And he said he needed to change it, he or she, I guess. But anyway, Mutu says that was last year. So we split and then we lost the series away. That makes sense. All right. So anyway, I got some things about the Skenes outing. And I think Matt Capps maybe let a little too much go on the broadcast side of things. He was talking to Peter Moylan before the game, and Moylan was even saying something about how he thinks it'll be interesting to see how he responds to pitching in Atlanta. And he said, you stand out on that mound, and it is different than anywhere else in the league. The mound is lower. And he even said it somehow gets past, which means it feels like it's a lot lower. And now when I'm watching the game, I can't help but think this mound looks so low. And I don't know if maybe it is just like an illusion, but he also talked about the humidity because it was very hot this weekend, but it was also very humid. And they were saying that the humidity and the pearls that they're throwing in at Truist Park are so slippery that it can't hold the rub and you can't get a grip. And I watched Fried and Skenes in that day. Sorry for hitting my mic there. Both of them missing arm side away constantly. Like neither one of them were really accurate in that game. I think for both of them, and I'll say this about Skenes, Max Fried is a great pitcher. We already know this. He's not 8 starts into his career, right? This guy's a stud.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when you're pitching in circumstances like that, and both of them were also kicking the dirt, and before I think the 5th inning, the grounds crew had to come out because Skenes was like, bro, this is terrible. You guys need to come fix it. There was a delay in the game for them trying to fix the mound, but like Fried was also kicking the dirt around every once in a while like he wasn't either his landing, he wasn't getting a good grip or what it was on his landing. But either way, both pitchers seemed to have trouble with the mound. And I think Skenes throwing a lot of pitches, velocity on every pitch was down, spin rate on every pitch was down, but he did have a career high trips to the rosin bag, which was very clear that this guy, and that's not tracked, I don't think. I'm just saying that because I don't remember seeing him so much go back to that rosin, and he kept going back to it. Very clear, and he kept wiping his hand on his pants, trying to get like the sweat and the whatever off. And it was like very clear that neither one of those guys really had a good grip. So I'll go back to saying this about Max Fried, who is a veteran in a sense, right? I mean, he's not. How many years has he been pitching? I mean, he's not like he's not deep
Fried?
into his career, right? He's not deep.
Probably 4 or 5 years.
But we know he's a stud. And for him to say like these are not good situations, and yet he's able to say like I'm not going to miss over the plate. I'm not going to hang something out over the middle. If I'm going to miss, it's going to be here. And I know I might be reaching for straws here, but like, do you think that there's something about Paul Skenes in saying like, that was kind of a special moment? I mean, this guy didn't have a grip. He was complaining about the field. He was, all of these things to say like, what poise as a guy making his 8th or 9th start to go out there and to be able to, I mean, he gave up 1 run and had 9 strikeouts in a game where he couldn't pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It really is incredible. And, Pitt City, Paul's grit out there. Can't believe he just turned 22. And that's exactly what you were talking about. So that's why I put that up there. Like this kid, I shouldn't even say kid, that, this dude.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible because, obviously way scaled back when we talk about ourselves in the game, right?
Sure.
But like the worst feeling I've ever had on a mound is when you don't feel like your landing foot, you're getting good traction. It's not sitting the way you want it to sit when you land.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. And both of those pitchers, pushing dirt around, that's what it's saying. Like they don't feel good on that landing foot.
Mm-hmm.
And that it might be the worst feeling for a pitcher, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I've, experienced.
Yeah. Combine that with the grip too.
And then you combine it with the fact that you're just so humid and moist and just, you can't get the ball and you can't get a good grip. It's incredible.
Let me ask you though, if your landing foot is slipping, if that's the problem, if it's slipping a little bit, does that cause you to miss an arm side away, or does that actually cause you to yank it?
It would be arm side away, because what it does is it lengthens everything. So this is a broad scale here. It lengthens everything, which your arm tends to fall behind at that point, because you don't get that quite the same drive that you get.
So that could have been playing in the arm side misses too.
Yeah.
I kind of let him have it a little bit. I thought that was poor conditions, and I started looking at some things, Jake, and I couldn't help but notice that the Braves are a 500 team, actually a little bit under 500 on the road, and are 10, 11 games over 500 at home. Put your tinfoil hat on, man. I know that you're close to the Braves because of Ashley, and you can't make any comments. But guys in the chat, what do you think here? Are the Braves?
I can say what I want.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
But
I'm a real.
They've literally like you. I've not done any research, but I would be willing to bet you look back through the years. I feel like they're just most of the time they play so good in Atlanta, and whether that's tampering with the. I don't know that. I'm not going to assume that. But the crowd is just, they have their backs. Like it's, what's the college that has the 12th man crowd in college football? Anyway,
yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Seattle Seahawks in NFL, but.
Is okay. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking. But anyway, it's like that in Atlanta. Like it really is. It's a little bit different. It feels like since they moved out of the city, but it's a crazy atmosphere as far as the opposing team coming into that building. But yeah,
Texas A&M.
yeah. So it's.
I wondered if
I never knew that about the mound.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know that stuff, right? You need that little inside.
Right.
But Michael 412 says Atlanta Astros.
No.
I don't think it's that bad, but I'm telling you,
No.
like home field advantage stuff, if your mound is lower and your guys can pitch on a lower mound, I mean, there is something to that. There is something to that. As far as velo and grip and spin, I think let's talk about grip in particular. If you're not gripping the ball, your velo is going to be lower. And that's also a sign, like if you're not gripping the ball, your spin's going to be lower. Everything was lower across the board in that start. And so to me, it was I saw some people saying, oh, he's not hitting 100. I don't think he hit 100 in this game. I think he topped off at 99. That's a grip thing to me. And I think that was pretty obvious. What surprised me was hearing Caps say that Moylan mentioned something about pearls. Anytime somebody calls a baseball a pearl, they mean it's slippery. They mean it's not rubbed up good and they can't get a grip on it, right? Or you know what I mean? When it's really white is why they call it a pearl. Because it doesn't have that,
Right.
mud from the whatever place on it, and they can't get an actual grip on the ball. So, when you say something like that, I'm like, is he only talking about because, I mean, Moylan's a smart guy, right? Is he only talking about that because of the humidity? Because that rub doesn't stick, and so there's nothing they can do about it? Or are they really throwing pearls out there? And why would that have something to do with just Atlanta?
Right.
And I mean, that's going to hurt your pitchers too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, terrible start. Worst start of his career. 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, a leadoff homer, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. This guy's a stud.
Yeah.
I hate crowning somebody a stud this early in their career, but this guy's the real deal. And like they were talking to him on the broadcast today, and they're asking him all these questions. And
they need to talk to him during every broadcast.
That's true. Both 2-run homers while they were on the phone, or while they had him on a headset, which I thought was funny because Caps was like, "What are you doing in the 6th inning?" Like the other guy's a Braves announcer. He's like, "Hey, pump the brakes a little bit." But either way, like you're asking him about these draft picks to bees and saying like, "What advice would you have for them?" And I'm like, "Don't take advice from this guy." He pitched 30 innings in the minor leagues and he's dominating the major leagues, and he's telling you about the gap between, what is the gap between he's like, "I didn't get to stop at every minor league, so I can't really talk about that." And I'm like, yeah, and you're dominating the MLB.
Yeah.
There's no gap.
Right.
I mean, obviously there is, but Dave says he's going to be in the All-Star game, right? Has to be. I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit halfway. I think he probably could make a case that he deserves to be an all-star this year. I also could make the case that, like, as a Pirates fan, I get it. He's bigger than the Pirates. We've said this. This is an MLB thing right now for him. But, like, as a Pirates fan, I'm kind of like, I don't want him wasting any of those bullets on an all-star game.
Right.
We're limited right now. We're going to have to try to figure out what we're doing with these guys and how Bailey Falter right now he's got his career high innings now after today's game. Is that right? I'm pretty sure.
I didn't look at it.
Let me click on his name here.
I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure that he jumped over his career high in innings. And so let's see here. I mean, clearly MLB. 84 innings in 2022, 88 and a third now. But if I go to the minors, no, I mean, 2017, 114 innings, 2018, 101. But it's been since 2018 since he's thrown over 100 innings. 2022 was 84, right? Is that what I said?
I think so.
Okay, well, it's also 47 in the minors that year. So, and 50 innings in the minors last year to go along with 80.2 innings. So, I mean, we say 80 point. It's the most he's pitched in the majors, but not the most he's pitched in a summer.
You're right.
He's got a ways to go before. I mean, he's going to be fine until he gets up over 100 innings. So we're not worried about him. It's Jones and it's Skenes that we're, particularly worried about as far as how many innings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Bucko Mike's out here. He's confirming some of what we're talking about here. 131, I think I think he's saying that's his career high in a season.
Yeah.
When you combine minors and majors together. So yeah, I think I don't want Skenes wasting any bullets in the All-Star game. But you're indifferent, right? Because you also want to see it. Yeah. You want to see him go up against those guys, but I'm kind of like, yeah, give him give him the little all-star. He's an all-star. Yeah. But we don't need to see him pitch. Let him soak it in. He can pitch. He'll have plenty of opportunities, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to pitch in it. Leadoff homer 2 starts in a row, though. That's really interesting. And the fact that that's the only runs in the last 2 starts.
I'd be interested to see if he throws a fastball to the leadoff hitter in the next game. At all.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're jumping on that fastball early.
Yeah.
He's going to come out of the gate and he's going to throw this fastball and I'm going to jump on it.
Yeah. 3 straight starts, though, when he's given up that run in the first inning, too. Not just on a leadoff homer, but you know what I'm saying? Just like the Cincinnati got the run in the first inning as well. 3 straight starts with a run in the first inning, and then him getting through 6 innings against Cincinnati, 7 against Tampa, and 6 against Atlanta, and those were the only runs he gave up. This guy makes in-game adjustments like that, and I know we probably don't want to hear it. I know that that's also a positive thing that Grandal does, and he's been catching those games, and he's very good about he's very prepared. Everybody's got something they want to add, right? That's kind of his thing. The preparation, the game plan, like Grandal. Grandal's probably a guy who will be a coach at some point and do that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he could start any time now.
Yeah.
Just being a coach.
Let's just just go
ahead and put him on the staff and bring DeLay back up to be the backup for now and just let him and Bart carry the load.
Yeah, I mean, I would say let Bart catch most guys. I want Grandal catching Skenes right now.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want it to it's been working. So yeah, that's all. As far as the All-Star game, yeah. But so Bailey Falter today, very slider heavy. A lot of sliders. I wonder if it's some kind of adjustment he's making in order to, he's for a while now hasn't looked great, but is still getting it done.
Yeah. And that's part of evolving, kind of. You know what I mean? I think Shelton said it best that we're just watching him grow every time he goes out there. He gets major league hitters out, good major league hitters out, even if he doesn't throw hard. He doesn't. No. He's got to figure out ways to get people out. He actually had 5 strikeouts today in 5 innings, right? 5, I think is what he had.
Yeah, but he had 4 walks today, and I wonder if there was some of that too that maybe he was dealing with too. Yeah. I didn't see his
super hot and humid today too.
Right. I didn't see his StatCast numbers or anything like that, but I mean, over the month of Bucko Mike saying 3.87 ERA is not bad, and it's not. This was a rough month for him. 5.63 month in June. And you see that he got beat up for 5 runs against the Dodgers. Okay. That was his first one that you were like, "Oh no, is he done?" Then he gives up 3 runs in 4 innings against St. Louis, and you're like, here we go. Back-to-back 4-inning starts. And then he goes against Cincinnati, he goes 7 innings, gives up 2 runs, and it felt like it wasn't quite there, but he did well. Against Tampa, it was 4 runs in 4 innings, and you're just really saying all right, I think we ran out. He looked pretty good today. He only went 5 innings. There was some 4 walks is the most he's had in a start this year. Matter of fact, he had 4 walks in all of April. So, you know what I mean? it's definitely something that I'm not convinced that he's not still like not going well. You know what I mean? I still need to see more. There's still a lot to miss from Falter. We'll see if he bounces back. I don't know. You know what I mean? He's clearly tired.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so
one of those games, he was the first 3 innings, he didn't get touched, and they just blew up in the 4th or something. If I'm thinking, remembering correctly. But
yeah.
Anyway,
there was just like one inning that was, I got you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're going to get into like, I don't want to get into specific players necessarily because we're going to get into all that. But you had Cruz and Tellez with the homers today to help them win. Only 1 run in the other 2 games. What do you make of the Olivar slide at home or should he not be running? I mean, that backstop seems to be very short. At least the way that it bounces, it comes back quick. Because I noticed on several like fouls straight back, the ball's constantly rolling up by the catcher and the umpire. So I don't know if their net is tighter or whatever it is, but that ball came off the net. And really, once you saw where he picked that ball up, I thought he's out. He actually I didn't think it was going to be even that close.
Yeah.
Bad slide.
Yeah, probably.
But at the same time, there's 1 out, right? You got a guy on third. Do you always run there? I know it's extra innings, but do we have to run on that play? Could you just wait and see? I know Bryan ended up striking out on the very next pitch. I don't know. If he just puts the ball in play, you get a run.
Right. And with a runner on third rather than nobody on base. I know it's 1 pitch.
Yeah.
But it is kind of more relaxed as a pitcher to execute your pitch with no one on as opposed to somebody on third. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. Bucko Mike puts in here that, by the way, back to Falter just for a second, because I do have a question. 4.89 ERA lifetime in June coming into today. 6 ERA July lifetime. Hey, Bucko Mike, can you look up his career May? Because he had a 223 this May and a 289 in April. Look up those for his career. And I'd actually like to, if you can, I don't know how extended you go, but look up what they were before this year, even if you can. I'd like to know, because I don't know if I want to buy into, oh crap, it's going to get worse in July, if maybe he's historically been bad in April and May too. So, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's still a thing. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Yeah. I mean, I think once he's out at home and the delay and all that stuff, I think it messed with Hayes a little bit. I mean, he just got a good slider and he was done anyway, but that kind of felt like, okay, this game's over.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, I mean, that slider, little more pressure on you to execute that slider if there's a runner on third. Nobody on base, it's completely different. You just let it rip.
Yeah. Especially, and with 2 outs.
So
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Interesting. He says he has a 3 ERA in May. Now that would be probably including this year. But yeah, that's interesting. So this is a guy who maybe as it gets into it, I mean, that's going to mean something, because now I know we have the 3 guys at the top, but you don't have anybody after that at this point. Maybe you have Luis Ortiz.
Hey, Luis Ortiz has looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
Finally got that start.
Maybe you have Luis Ortiz. You want to brag on that a little bit?
Listen, somebody did mention that he should get a start soon.
Yep. And he got one.
I liked it. He got it, and he didn't waste it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if see some more.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to. So Bucko Mike did drop in 3 in May, 426 in April, and August 425, and those are including this year, other than August, which hasn't happened. But interesting. So June might still be a struggle. Or July, I'm sorry. We'll see. Good luck to you, Bailey Falter. By the way, it's the guys like that Katie roots for more than anybody else. You know what I mean? She loves seeing how good Rowdy's been just because everybody was hard on him, and she's sympathetic of that. So, Dave Thomas says, Luis to the rotation, maybe Perez to the pen. Obviously, Perez coming off the IL did not look good in Atlanta. Nothing looked good. Location was awful. Did we learn anything when we just had that conversation about Skenes? Maybe Falter with four walks, same number he had in one full month of starts. Maybe we need to see Perez throw again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe there's something. And I was like, man, this is bad. But, you learn a little bit the next couple days. Maybe there is something. I think that they're going to, at least in the near future, they're going to have to rely on a 6-man, I think. And I don't think they'll ever go to a 6-man. They've said that they don't like that. I think mostly because they don't like to shorten the bullpen. But if you want to give Skenes and Jones 5 days rest, you can't do it coming up, because once Tuesday hits, it's day after day games until we get to the All-Star break. There's no more days off. And so they're going to have to utilize something in the short term for those guys to get that extra day off. The rotation, as you know it, if you're trying to figure it out, it's a mess. A couple of weeks ago, I thought that this coming week we were going to get to see Thursday, Friday, Saturday was going to be like some Keller, Skenes, Jones type thing. Well, now you've got Keller going Tuesday, Jones on Wednesday, and I think Perez on Thursday day game. And so, actually, I pulled that up, and we're not getting into that series yet, but here I am talking about it. Keller, Gibson, Jones, Michaelis, Perez, Payante. 2 L's. I'm going to go with Payante. Anyway, Let's move into talking about, you know what? Bryan Reynolds, the hitting streak ended. 25 games is still good. Good job. Longest one in MLB this year. 1 game short of not going hitless during the month of June. That's incredible.
Yeah.
From the first day to the last day, but missed it on the last day. Even got that other chance. Just fell short. I'm sorry. The first 2 nights got the chance in the 9th inning, fell 1 batter short of getting that extra chance in the 9th on Sunday. So, a great month for Bryan Reynolds. A great month for a few guys. Let's talk about June a little bit, and then let that move us for the rest of the show. I think that essentially let's look at this team and where we're at. You know that Bryan Reynolds had a great June. So did Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go straight into this, and because we'll jump around a little bit, but I'm gonna go straight into this. Is first base still a need for this team this year? Like as we go down the stretch?
That's a tough question. Right this second, no.
So here's one thing that I said. I was gonna look for it. I don't know if I said this on Wednesday or if this was a last week thing when you were on here. But I said something about Tellez and how he was doing, and he had hit the home run backside in Cincinnati. So it must have been on Wednesday. And I thought, okay, so he's hit a home run to center, and he's hit a home run now to right or to left field. I don't think he's there yet, even though he's done well. You've seen a lot of slap hitting, a lot of base hitting. I like that in moments where it's like you really just need to get runs in, and he's doing a good job of using the whole field right now. On Wednesday, we talked about the spray chart and how many of his hits were backside and how he was just letting the ball get in and maybe behind, though, you know what I mean? Or maybe just going with the pitch and not trying to do damage, but just trying to get his head back above water, which I'd say he's done. I'd say he's got his head back above water at this point. What are we looking at for him? A 230 average. Like, that's about what you could expect from him. The on base is only 286, and the OPS is 618, which is still low because of the slugging. Slugging this year, let's take a look at just without OPS here. Slugging 332, that's the lowest of his career, okay? You know what I mean? We're looking at get me up. I mean, other than last year, every year's been up over 400. So get me up there. You know what I mean? And, and that's going to be hard to crawl out of it, right? What did he do in a month? You know what I'm saying? You got to talk about that too. What was your slugging this month, which is still low because he's not hitting the ball over the fence. But his slugging, is this slugging? 545 this month.
Yeah, with a guy like Rowdy and the start to the season that he had, you almost can't even look at his numbers on the season.
Right.
You know, you got to look at his numbers in the month, the past 30 days, because you almost have to throw away what happened at the beginning of the year. Not completely, because there is that chance that he goes back to that. But, I mean, as a fan, I'm hoping he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, so
I'm hoping this is an upgrade to the team that we didn't have to look at, anywhere else for.
Right. 333, 380, 545 is the slash line for the month of June, which is great. Last 30 games, a little bit less than that because it goes into May a little bit. But 277, 313, 426 with a little bit of struggle in there. But now, like, fourth home run he hit today. This was the home run, and this is what I was getting to. I think I said, I don't know if he's back until I see him jump on a ball and hit a home run to the pool side. Everything he's hit to the pool side's on the ground. Today he did that. He jumped on a ball, pulled a 2-run homer that was like so far pulled that we were saying isn't going to be foul or fair. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a sign for me that Rowdy might be coming around in that type of the sense where you might say maybe he's going to unlock something here. The average might not stay where it's at, but I think I'd be okay with that. If this guy at the end of July, we look at Rowdy and he hits 5 home runs in the month and he's got a 250 average instead of a 300. I think I'm okay with that. Like, that's kind of what I want to see. You know what I mean? Knock 5 of them out. You're talking about 4 in the first 3 months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He hit 3 in the month of May. There's a little bit less games in July because of the All-Star break. Give me 5 home runs. Bryan Reynolds on his tear, I think, hit 6 home runs this month. So, you know what I'm saying? Now he was doing everything else as well.
Right.
But I think it could be, you're right. I think it could be a guy, and let's talk about the thing that Ben Sherrington said. Andrew Destin tweeted out. I'm sure there's some others too, talking about how on how the Pirates can become a better offensive team. Obviously, you're trying to bait him into saying, well, we're going to trade for a hitter, right?
Right.
And he said, and I'm not really sure about the way that he's saying this, but I think we can summarize it. He said, we have more players that can improve by far than we can acquire. And so what he's saying is, like, we've got players on this team who could improve, who are having down years, who could be better. And there's more of them than there are guys that they can acquire to make this offense better. And I 100% agree with that. And I know that, like, some people are like, what a crappy GM. How dare you? And it's like, what do you want him to do, man? Trade the farm for a team that's under 500?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm out on that.
Let's trade all 6 of our top guys just so we can go like 4 games over 500. That's stupid. Like, it's literally stupid. Mm-hmm. And I don't like, saying stuff like that, but it would be stupid. There are more. So let's talk about those guys. Rowdy Tellez is one of them. Maybe we just saw it. Maybe we just saw a month where he turns around. First base may not be a problem going forward. He's going to have his slumps. He's going to do whatever. But it's one of those things. And I'm looking at the chat here. We've got Bucko Mike says Joshua Palacios 315 Indy after today. Those are good numbers. Sherrod. Hi, Sherrod. This is the first chat I've seen from you. I guess there was a little bit of Atlanta Dirt had some issues. Yeah. So we talked about that early if you weren't there. So anyway, Josh up, Jack down. Jack Sawinski, to me, is the biggest improvement this team could make. He is a better player than what we've seen. The guys that say get him out of here and DFA him, that's silly. He's got options, and he's a player with 26 home runs last year.
Right.
This is a guy who has the potential to be a 30-homer guy in this league. Mm-hmm. Yes, with the strikeouts. I get it. I'm not asking him to hit third. Okay? Put him in the 5 or 6 spot, the 7 spot. If he hits 30 home runs from the 7 spot, imagine.
Right.
But Jack Sawinski's a guy that if he could turn this thing around, that's way better than an acquisition that you could make. I don't know who you're going to bring in that's going to give you that type of production.
Right.
Dave mentions Rowdy's been fine defensively as well. I'm going to be honest. Rowdy's been fine defensively all year.
Yeah.
He's made a big difference in how O'Neal Cruz throws the ball across the infield. He's made the plays you could expect. He's a big dude. He's not going to be Paul Goldschmidt out there. He's not going to, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to be Freddie Freeman or Cody Bellinger out there. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not a Gold Glover, but he's been fine. We talked about Josh Bell getting traded here. I don't think Josh Bell could even catch a ball that O'Neal Cruz throws. Palacios played center field today. They're bringing that up.
I don't hate the fact. Not the fact. I don't hate the option of saying Palacios and Jack down. Like, I could be okay with that right now, but it's not a long-term thing. It's longer than he was down there before.
It might be the rest of this year, Jake. If he doesn't figure it out,
it could be. If he goes down there and doesn't figure it out, it absolutely could be.
Yeah.
But if he could go down there for a month, 2 months, and figure it out, and he comes back in late August for the run, for the stretch, as a different player,
right? And I want to clarify, like, I don't think that he's about to. I don't think that he's I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I believe it's going to happen. I believe in Jack Sawinski. I do believe in Jack Sawinski as a player long-term. I'm not sure I believe in him for this year. He hasn't shown that, right? He hasn't shown that he can be, and there's been a few things sprinkled in here and there, which I'm sorry, you're going to see those things because he is a good player who's playing really bad, but he is a good player and he has the ability to be sent down. So let me just say because it does sound like that. This Josh up, Jack down, I don't disagree with that, right? If we think Palacios is going to add a spark, I don't disagree with that at all. But Jack Sawinski's a guy you're going to need in 2025, and you're going to need him to show up. Dave says it'd be fine if Jack finished the year in AAA. They need to get him fixed 100%. It's not a guy you cut ties with. Like, it's just not.
Right. No.
And defensively, he gets a really bad rap because he doesn't look as great in center field. He made a really good catch this weekend in center field on a ball that usually he gets not as good of a jump as he got. And so I think that's something that, you know what I mean, something to consider there. Brock says, get Jack back in late August so my girlfriend is happy when we go to the Guardians series. She's a big Jack fan, I take it, so that's good. Matt, I understand what you're saying. Jack's solo homers and blowouts don't impress me. That is a very cliche thing that people have talked about with him. It's not always the case. He's hit important home runs as well, but I get it. He's had his share of blowout adding to the lead home runs. I still think a player, I don't think that those are the only times he can hit, though. I think that those things are happening, but you still look at the player and what he's doing and what he's capable of doing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the game situation is. You either have the ability to do it or you don't.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people who are, I get it. There's very analytic type people who are like, analytics are everything. I don't care about the eye test, right? There's going to be people who are saying analytics are ruining the game. I only care about the eye test. The eye test tells you that Jack can't hit in clutch moments. Analytics will tell you there's no such thing as a clutch moment. So there's something in the middle of that. You know what I mean? Like you either can do it or you can't do it. And there
Yeah.
is something in the middle of that, which is where I like to live. I think the analytics do tell us a lot. I don't think they tell us everything. I'm still very old school, but I think that there are things that we can learn from analytics. And one of those things is just flat out, if he hits it off a position player, which he did hit one of his home runs last year off position player, I get that, right? You can write that one off. Anybody else,
25.
yeah, anybody else, and like they're trying to get him out. I don't care what the score is. No pitcher is out there saying, I don't care about my ERA today. Yes, he does. He's got arbitration to worry about. He cares about giving up a home run. There's not a pitcher out there who's not trying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just one of those things that, I believe he's going to be fine as a player, right? I'm just not sure it's going to happen this year. But if it does, you know what I'm saying? If it does, that's a huge upgrade that you can't, and you gave nothing up for it. So yeah, sure. Bring up Palacios. He's on the roster too. We absolutely can bring him up. See what he's got.
Yeah.
I'd say I don't love him in center, but at the same time, like if he's replacing Jack's not, he's average. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a great arm, and he's just gets to what he gets to. He's fast. So he does get to more balls, but he gets bad jumps, right? Routes are fine. He's fast. He can run them down. He does not get good jumps off the ball when he's in center field. That's his problem. But either way, just to say, Mike Taylor made a nice catch today too. I almost called him Michael because of that catch, but I know better. So Mike Taylor made a really nice catch. You mentioned his route wasn't that great on that play.
I just felt like when he dove, he had to reach backwards as he was diving, like the opposite. Like it was a weird dive to me.
That's the toughest ball. You know what I mean? Like, that line drive, you don't know if it's going to carry or if it's going to drop. And that is a tough one. It wasn't directly at him, but it's enough that he started to say, like, I can't let him get extra bases. And then it was like, oh, I think I can catch it. And so, I still think it was a really good play. That was the type of play that I thought we were going to see from Mike Taylor, and we haven't seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was happy to see it.
Yeah. I see this stuff all the time, and this is one of the analytics I have a hard time getting behind, the defensive run save.
Well, this is outs above average.
Because is it outs above average?
He said per outs above average.
I don't completely understand how they do defensive metrics. Like,
they're not perfect.
It doesn't make sense to me, and I just don't agree with them all the time. And so it's just hard for me to throw those numbers in the conversation.
Yeah.
I watch the games and I'm like, oh, that was a bad route. Or, I feel like
Nick Gonzalez made a play the other day, going back on a ball. Really great play. And they flat out said that catch was worth 2 defensive runs saved. 1 catch.
How?
There wasn't guys on second and third, by the way.
Yeah, so I don't understand how that's...
But if there were, he would have saved 2.
Well, you can say that. You can make those numbers whatever you want them to be then.
Yeah, there's a lot of things... Go ahead.
I don't know. The if game is not a game I want to play when I'm talking about stats.
Well, no, defensively though, because it's the same thing I just said.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what situation the game is in. When you're up to bat, you hit a home run, you have the ability to hit a home run, and you hit one. It doesn't matter if it's a quote unquote clutch situation or not.
Right.
So in that scenario, I can say like, yeah, I care about that stuff because that is if, right? But at the same time, like defensive is just different.
Yeah.
So Dave Thomas says that catch saved the game, and that kind of catch or that kind of defense he has to have because of the way he hits. I don't know if I would call what he does hits. I think he bats. I don't think he hits. He's a batter when he goes up there. Did you see Luis Castillo for the Mariners getting that bat the other day?
Yes.
How do you not swing at a pitch? How do you go up there and give up when you're down 1-0 as a starting pitcher?
Yeah.
You're down 1-0, and you got a guy on second. And all you did was watch 3 pitches go right down the middle. Now, the reason he was hitting is because they lost their DH because their catcher got hit in the arm, hit by pitch, and they had to bring Cal Raleigh, who's their catcher, out of the DH spot into the catcher spot. Why haven't we fixed this rule in baseball yet? The DH should be a position. You should be able, if somebody moves from second to first, you don't lose your second baseman.
Right.
Like you still are able to do that.
Yep.
So the DH should be a position, and they should have just been able to replace the DH and then swap his position with the DH to go to catcher. Yep. It's absolutely silly that we haven't changed that yet. However, pitchers don't get a chance to hit anymore. How do you not swing at a pitch and just try to do something fantastic? You know what I mean? Like get a base hit to tie the game. That would have been incredible. Yeah, I know the chances are low, but you may as well try.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to get into that. All right. So June, they were 14-12 in the month of June. They were 12-14 in the month of May. This team, and this is what I have it wrote in my notes. This team is so 500. They can't finish a sweep. They won't get swept. They could get swept, but they avoided one today for the sake of the argument.
Yep.
I forget you're just looking at that's 2 months right there that basically just wash each other out. Like May and June are just gone. As far as your record's concerned, right? You were 10-17 in April. You were 4-0 in March. So you were 14-17. And that's where we're at, 40-43. We're 3 games under because of what we did in April. And the next 2 months, we just kind of washed each other. I don't know. Home and road, what do we got here? I mean, we're just looking. We're 19-20 at home. We're 20-22 on the road. It's just consistent. We've got nothing, right? We've got nothing here.
Right.
That's not true. We are, this doesn't have 2 games. We're 21-23 on the road. I'm looking at Baseball Reference. They don't have yesterday or today. They usually don't get them till the next day, but I don't know why they don't have yesterday on here. But it's just like 9 inning games, 34-38, extra innings, 5-4. That changed today. They're 5-5 now in extra inning games. 9 inning games, they're going to be 35-39 or 35-38. The one thing you can't say is blowouts. 5+ runs. So that one's included. So 9-13 in blowouts. So we get blown out more than we blow teams out. That's not surprising to anybody. And I think that's where we get the pulse of the team, right? We never have those lopsided victories well, not never, but we usually don't have those lopsided victories on our side. But we have more and then so it makes you feel way worse, right?
Yeah.
Which is where your run differential comes in, and ours is tanked in the red, and you know what I'm saying? And you get other teams who, maybe like Cincinnati, for instance, who has the same amount of wins as us, but 1 less loss. I don't know what they did today, actually. It's a good question. Let me refresh this. They played the Cardinals today. 43-40. So they lost today. So they're 39-45. So they're a game and a half away from us. But either way, they're a game and a half away from us for 39-40. And they have a +15 run differential. And that's because blowouts, they're 11-8. So they blow out more teams than they, you know what I mean? Than they get blown out. So that's why run differential is another thing. It's kind of like, yeah, but whatever. Like that whole I hate this word.
Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean win-loss record is based on your runs scored and runs against. And like the Reds this year, because of that, they're saying they should be 42-40 going into, the weekend or whatever. But like the Pirates are going to be way less than that, right? 37-44, just because it's based solely on runs for and against, and we've had a few more blowouts going the other way.
Right.
This team is very much the middle ground, right? That's just where we're sitting right now. We're very much the middle ground of everything. We've had 3 months now. You've seen some guys who have been bad for a minute, good for a minute. And then you've seen Reynolds was the bad, the good, and he's kind of mixing it all together. The team, you've got the pitching staff who's seen, Skenes and Jones be great and falter. I mean, the starters for a while were really great, and the bullpen was really bad. You know what I mean? And so it's just no matter what you do, there's a yin and a yang to this team right now where they're just perpetually 500 at everything they do. It feels like.
Right. Yeah, and it's frustrating and I'm sure this ties into the GM answers you get from Sherrington. Like, it's frustrating. If everybody was just, or not even everybody, if most of the team was on the same page at the same time, this team's not bad. As long as it's, on the good end of thing, on the good end of the spectrum. But it just seems like no matter who, if like you're saying, yin and yang, it's like somebody's doing good, somebody's doing bad. And it's a group usually. It's not like, oh, Sawinski's been bad, but Reynolds has been good. No, like the hitters are bad, the pitchers are good.
Yeah.
The starters are good, the relievers are bad. Like, it's like, come on, we could just all, be a unit for a minute, we could have a pretty good squad.
Yeah, Dave brings up a point here that says the front office was not ready for the pitching to be this good. They did not get easy free agents that would have been better than what we have. I'm not sure about the word easy there. But during the offseason, there was a lot of talk about who you're going to get here, who you're going to get there. To me, there were some misses. Mm-hmm. Perez, I didn't really think was a miss. I think that I got that one. I think that he profiles good for PNC Park, and it seemed like he was doing some things. I understand what they were doing there.
Yeah.
They were also like in on some other pitchers. Like in, right?
Yeah.
Imanaga being one of them, and look what he's done. They were in on him. Some reports said there was more money offered by the Pirates than what he got from the Cubs. I don't know if those are true.
Right.
But the point is that he really liked Chicago and he stayed there, whatever. But there was also Manaea that they were in on. There was a couple others that I didn't feel like were as strong as those two. In particular, it seemed like they were out to get lefties. And, I mean, imagine, though, Imanaga in this thing. I mean, Falter wouldn't have made it, though. If you think about it, he wouldn't have made it out of spring.
Right.
If you had that. But still, his season is still to be written, but for the most part, he's been really good. I don't know what happened to me. The biggest miss, I don't know what happened to Carlos Santana.
Yeah, that one doesn't make a lot of sense.
It felt like... Go ahead.
I don't know if they thought that, they thought Tellez was the better option. I mean, that has to be what they thought.
No, I don't think so. I think they started with... Tellez was kind of a little bit later, right? They started with, Santana was out of the gate. The rumors were heavy. And it felt like he outpriced them. You know what I mean? And that was the part that was like, come on, man. Yeah. That was the miss. Because it's like, if you did think, like Dave's saying, if you thought that this was a possibility, this team could be, like, that's a big swing. You could be at 500 right now. You could be at 500 right now if you had Santana instead of Tellez.
You could be, yes.
I don't know how much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know how big that swing is, but.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, at least 500.
Yeah. And so, that to me was a big one. And we all would have liked to seen a better outfielder than Mike Taylor. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you didn't. And you expected Sawinski to be better. I even expected Tellez to be better than what we've seen before June. Yeah. Even though I didn't have a lot of hopes for him, I thought he'd be better than that. I thought it'd be low average, lots of strikeouts, but he'd hit some balls out, and he just wasn't doing any of it. But I thought that Sawinski would be better. But then again, you get Connor Joe, who was playing better. You know what I'm saying? And Sherrod said the regressing hitting of Hayes, Jack, and Davis was not expected. I think that Hayes, and I know Bucko and Mike will come after us for this one, but I think Hayes is directly related to the injury issues, which is probably his biggest problem as a player, is the injuries. His is probably mostly, or probably directly related to the back issues.
Yeah.
But I also think that, like, what do you want from Hayes at a certain point? I don't think that he was necessarily like one of our top offensive players in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't fit the profile of an offensive third baseman, right? But he's the best defensive player in MLB. And so you take a little bit. You understand that. If he can get you 12 to 15 home runs, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where you're at there. But Matt brings up that Santana's age was probably, that's his guess, was probably the issue. His offensive performance last season. He was a guy that wanted to come back.
For a one-year contract, I almost throw the age out.
Almost. Yeah. That's fair. But he has been really good. So if that would have been the move, right, then that could have been a better move for this team. Outside of that, I mean, I just think like the offseason wasn't as bad as we think it was, because we see that in the end, like the end results that were bad. But I just thought, well, catching, I think, was a big thing. But you're right. Just what Sherrod said there. You know, Davis was expected to be a little bit better. But we don't have to go into this, but for my money, he's got to not catch. He can't focus that much on catching to become better at catching and still be able to hit. He just can't do it.
Right.
They need to move him. I don't care about his arm. He needs to think about playing first base and dropping bombs.
Yep. I agree with that.
But I don't know that that'll happen either. But if I was him, I'd make a business decision.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot be bad at the plate. He will not have a career. He's never going to be that good as a catcher.
Right.
All right. So let's see what Dave said. Sanchez over Grandal. Pham over Mike Taylor. Sanchez. Gary Sanchez. They were in on Gary Sanchez too. And I think that was a price problem too, which I think I would agree with that price problem. I don't know that I would have went too high on Gary Sanchez either. Tommy Pham, absolutely not. I'm all the way out.
Yep.
All the way out on having Tommy Pham in my clubhouse, period. He's a bad clubhouse guy. You can't go punch Mike Trout in the face or whoever in the face because of fantasy league. Who did he punch? He punched some dude in the face because he made some kind of weird trade in a fantasy football league. Like, cry like a baby, you bum.
Right. It's fantasy football.
Yeah.
Get over it.
And he's always causing fights, starting fights. He's always got an attitude. I'm so far away from Tommy Pham, it's not even funny. I don't care if he hits 700 home runs this year. Well, no, if he hits 700 home runs, I think I'd be okay with it. That's where I draw the line. 700. 699, he's out. 700, you can play for me. 700 home runs, I'll forgive you for being a jerk. Anyway.
That's funny.
So moving forward with this team, I think the question still is, unfortunately, do you make moves? I can't. This is my opinion. If you think that this team is bad right now, like if you think that this team is bad, you know, Bucko Mike sent me something this week with a list of Pirates needs. And it was long. And I said, if it's that long, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Like if you really are convinced that it's 6 different positions that we need, you're not going to get them. Just don't waste your time. You're not a good team. If you need 6 players, you're not a good team.
Right.
And I think that when you're under 500, right? You need 6 players. Like it's not because of injury. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's just, you're not good.
Yeah.
I think changes should be made. I think that they still could go out, and if they strategically got a player that could help them this year and the next 2 years, I'm interested. Otherwise, it's rental only, and it's no different than just saying, well, Jack might figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder where it's at when you say, adding a bullpen piece is easy.
Right.
I don't have any problem with adding a bullpen piece. I think that's easily done. It doesn't have to be, Eric Gagne from the streak days. But you know what I'm saying? Like, sheesh. I just wanted to throw like pull one out of there. But like the idea is like, I don't know what kind of moves you make that's actually going to make this team that much of a contender. And I've heard the argument of anytime you have Jones, Skenes, and Keller, you have to make a push. It's a good argument. The problem is we still got 3 months. I don't know that you're going to have those 3 in this rotation for the rest of this season.
I mean, it's going to come down to whether we're still in it or not. I don't see a Strasburg situation here. I just don't see it.
I don't know what you're going to do, man. They've got to figure out a way to not run into another Oviedo situation where the only reason that we're not good in 2025 is because we blew everybody out in 2024. The only reason we're not good in 2026 is because you traded 2 guys that would have been on that team.
Yeah.
And then you end up with 3 years of 500 baseball because you made some moves that sacrificed 1 year, and now you're not good either year. If the team's not good enough, I just can't imagine making a push. I understand that we created an NHL situation by opening up another wild card spot, which I think is dumb. I think it's too many kids in the party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't have to have that many playoff teams. I understand the interest in, like, I'm not arguing against it, but I was more of a small postseason for baseball. You get 162 games. You know who the better teams are. We don't have to open this up.
That's exactly what it is. Like,
the Diamondbacks had no business in the World Series.
No.
They weren't good enough. But anybody can get hot for a week or for a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah.
So, you could put in a team that is at the bottom of the barrel. Now, not like one of those bad bottom 4 teams, but maybe like the 20th worst team in baseball. You could just give them a wild card spot for the fun of it, and they could legitimately make a run.
Yeah.
That could be the Pirates. And we could have those 3 starters that could make a run, despite the fact that we're not that good of a team. Now, I think we have good players. They're not playing well, some of them. Steel City says that's dark, Josh. I'm sorry. The point is so Pitt City says just a couple of bats, and I think they're a playoff club. That to me is like, okay, let's see what we can do. But if it's more than that, I don't know. And to be honest with you, like, where are those couple bats? If you got let's say you got an impact bat in the outfield. Specifically, you got an impact bat in the outfield. I think you could run with that. And I think you could say, catcher, let's keep what we got. Let's see how we can make the catcher position work. Unless you can get your hands on, I mentioned this before, Elias Diaz, who's on a contract year, probably not a big, not a big push to get him. One minor league player might do it. You know what I'm saying? So you're not, depending on what minor league player, but I got to believe that if you got one impact bat in the outfield that has years of control, and not Luis Robert, because you can't control anything with him because he's always injured. So for me, I'm out on him because I don't think he does help you long term. Maybe he does, but I think the risk is too great for the price they're asking.
Yeah. The White Sox are going to be asking astronomical prices for all their guys.
Right. So I don't know, man. We talked about it. Go back and listen to, was it just last week's show where we actually talked about specific players that we were calling out?
Yeah.
Okay. So go back and listen to last week's if you didn't, and check this out. I know that, are we running? Oh yeah, we're long. That's all right. We're going to go a little bit longer today. We've got some people in here. We're going to go a little bit long, and we're going to give you some more time because I don't think we're going to have a midweek show this week. So I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. So I just don't know if I'm taking stuff to make sure that we get stuff done.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I don't know. I think even if I don't know what you have to give up to get that impact bat. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. To say that you can make it to the playoffs, yeah, we probably could. It's reachable. We're 3 games out? It's reachable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams to jump, but none of them are great. So that's the positive side of that. I don't know, man. I called this team to win 78 games. They've played better than I thought. They've also on the pitching side, I thought really we were going to be 78 wins because of the pitching, and it's been unbelievably better than I thought. Unbelievably. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm still thinking through this thing, and help me out here.
Same. I'm in the same boat too, because I see this down here. How does it hurt? How does it hurt to? Sorry, I pulled one up too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and pull yours up.
You're good. How does it hurt to make a trade for a bat now and spend some time in the offseason? It doesn't. As long as it's the right fit, and they have like you had said, they have 2 years attached to them. The problem is, in order to get a guy that has 2 or 3 years attached to him, you're going to give up a bigger prospect. And that's depleting the farm for getting better in the future.
I think more, even like saying more prospects. And so I think that's a big thing, right? If I'm giving up one guy, that's fine. But then you start saying, well, now I have to give up another guy to get another guy. And I'm just going to say this, like one thing that we can say, there's a lot of things we can complain about. One thing that we can say that this team's getting right now is pitching development.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it across the board. We were seeing it with guys like Jared Jones is a big one, obviously, but you're seeing it. All of these guys are getting better and better and better. But like, let's not pretend that Kyle Nicholas isn't part of that group right now. I mean, look what he's doing in the month of June, and there was a bunch of guys saying straight DFA. It's always funny when you have a guy with a bunch of options and we want to DFA him. Like, he's got options. Let's give him a chance here. But Kyle Nicholas has awesome stuff, but was not throwing it for strikes, and he was awful for a minute. Look at what he's doing now. He's found his groove. He's figuring it out a little bit. You got to have some patience with these young guys, and that's what this team's full of, is young guys. So patience is a must. And I'm not saying, once again, I'm not advocating to not make moves. I'm just saying that you have to be careful, because some of these guys you have to be patient with. On the pitching side, there's too many guys doing well that makes you feel like these guys will be an impact on this team. I mean, I fully believe that when you think of Bubba, Solomito, Ashcraft, and Harrington, those top 4 pitching prospects, I would feel totally good about saying 3 of them are going to have a major league career.
Mm-hmm.
Might even say all 4, but that hardly ever happens, right? Something happens with somebody. But like, I could legitimately see that. You could throw Quinn Priester in there. Quinn Priester has shown good things. He's just can't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he just can't get over that hump.
Maybe he's just missing the dog in him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it about him, you know?
Yeah.
So he's going to be a little bit behind, but he was showing good things. And they actually started early with him. He was one of the first guys that when this new regime came in, his game changed after that COVID year. They worked with specific things and they talked about it, and he skyrocketed through, and it didn't look like he was going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just feel like they've done that. Shared right here. You DFA Nicholas, he'll turn into the next Clay Holmes. Steel City, what? Miners 2, Ashcraft, Bubba, Priester. I think the Braves are still gonna make the wild card.
Yeah.
This team's still if you were watching
they have
on
resources.
They do. But they also, if you were watching, you know, Snicker's saying, we're not even good yet. We haven't even hit our stride yet.
Yeah.
They won a World Series without Acuna. I don't really think he's the key. I'll be honest. Apparently not.
Well, that year they had to go out and basically rebuild the whole outfield in order to, not in order to get into the playoffs, but they rebuilt their outfield and it was awesome. So they have resources.
Yeah, and I mean, anyway, outside of them, it's a winning culture too. And that's something that you got to understand, and we all know very well in Pittsburgh. We don't have that culture yet. And until you get it, maybe some of this stuff does lack a little bit. I don't know. You have to figure out a way to build that. One of the ways that they've said to build it is to win in the minor leagues. So you leave guys without being promoted for a while in order to be a better team. You know what I'm saying? So you got a little bit of that going on. And, we're going to leave guys in AA because we could lump them all together in AA. And then we'll wait to move them to AAA. AAA is not good. Well, now Altoona is not good. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how they're doing that. But either way, I feel like I'm bumping around a lot of things. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to get creative. I don't know what Sherrington is willing to do with the guys that he has. I told Jake before we hit record, I am fully convinced Termarr Johnson will never play for the Pirates. If he's not traded this year, he's a guy they'll look to move because he's the best they have offensively. And I think that teams know that, and they know they can turn him into something. Oh, well, his development's maybe, not great. Well, we haven't really been great at developing hitters yet. McAdoo maybe is a guy that's kind of pushing that envelope, right? He's been really good.
He's hit another home run today.
But it's kind of that thing where, like, we don't have help offensively coming up. You've got to make a move. The plethora of pitching, and if their development is good, you can get rid of guys and know that there will be more. You know what I mean? Like, you can trust that there will be another guy. One of those top 4 guys, I could see one of those guys being part of a deal this year. And I'd be okay with that. Probably not the same one everybody else is. I actually would not get rid of Harrington.
Yeah.
Do you know that, like, I said that thing about Jared Jones, changed his fastball based on what Harrington does, and I'm like, well, Harrington's a keeper immediately.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But I don't know.
It's definitely going to be interesting this next month to see if anything happens.
I just don't think they're going after impact on a team that can't find their way. I mean, you've got to play above 500 baseball from now till the deadline in order to make a deadline deal. Part of that might be because you made a deal before the deadline.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know that they're not going to trade. I don't know. I'm thinking Termarr. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? It's all the minor league guys. You'd hate to see Ashcraft. I'd like to see Ashcraft in the bullpen. Could they trade from this bullpen? I don't know. The bullpen's been shoddy. I mean, Chapman, yeah. I could see Chapman going still. So a major league piece going somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't see us going after somebody like, I see ties to Vladimir Guerrero. I don't see that.
And he just unlocked
just
everything too. He's back.
So much money.
I don't care.
They'd have to pay half his salary, and then we'd be stuck with a $20 million contract next year.
So I'd pay it all. I don't care I don't care about their money.
I mean,
Pirates got money.
Yeah.
I know
know.
it's.
I just don't. I don't see that boding well for us adding in the off season.
Yeah, it will limit, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a piece that I don't know about. I don't think it helps because I think that right now Rowdy is at least an average bat. And so if you're going to go get rid of a non-average bat, like I want him to replace somebody who's not good. Because now you've added Vladdy, but you still have 2 outfield problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the outfield has to be figured out. At least one guy. I can piece together that last spot in the outfield. You need at least one guy in that. I don't care if it's center or right. I don't care, because we can figure out center between what we got, or we can figure out right between what we got. One of them has to be better offensively than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And that lengthens the lineup enough that maybe you can unlock something from Sawinski or Olivares, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's a guy. To me personally, like, I wouldn't even mind if they went and traded for a better bench piece. I can't watch Jared Triolo at bats. I can't watch him. It's like he's trying to hit the roof. Even if a stadium doesn't have a roof, he's swinging. His back shoulder falls so far down. I don't know how anybody could pretend to know what they're doing swinging like that. It's terrible. It's like he's trying to inside out every single pitch, if he even swings at it.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's great. Maybe somebody will want that guy for late inning defense.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm better off watching Game Day when he's up than seeing that cartoon guy just stand there, because I just can't. I can't watch it.
You'd rather watch the Luis Castillo at bat.
Nah, maybe not, but
no.
I just feel like and sometimes it works. I can't. All right, so let's check a couple more of these chats, and then let's try to get out of here. Infield batting is fine enough. Outfield is miserable. Pit City, what? Dave says, if you stretch Skenes and Jones to 160 innings this year, it sets up 2025 for a strong offseason and run. Just have to stay healthy. Steel City, what? I'm shocked that Mike Taylor's still on the roster. And Mutu says 340 ex Woba for Eddie O. I'd like to get him more opportunities, but his defense is atrocious. Yeah, I mean, his defense has been bad both in analytics and the eye test.
Yeah.
So I get that. This team needs to score runs. I really think that if his offense does get better, I make that trade and have the Porter defense out there in order to have offense. This team needs offense, regardless of what the defense looks like. We have guys like Key Bryan and Triolo who can play defense and not hit, and Mike Taylor who can play defense and not. We don't need that.
Right.
There's a reason why O'Neal Cruz stays at shortstop, even though he's what he is at short, whether you like him or not.
Which is improved from last year.
It's improved, but he's also he's just fine.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna go back to what Dave Thomas said here. If you stretch Skenes and Jones to 160 innings this year, it sets us up for a strong 2025. I've talked about the blueprint to the rebuild that they are doing, right? Not the 3-year rebuild, blow it up, bring it back, trade for a bunch, add to, and go for it. That opens up a smaller window. What this front office is trying to do, and I don't know that you can do it in Pittsburgh, maybe, but what they're trying to do is have sustained competitive teams.
Yeah.
With an extra wild card, I'm not saying anything you guys haven't heard before. You can get in without having 95 wins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the Dodgers just to make the postseason. If this team can put something together to sustain winning over the course of year after year after year, then it sets you up for being in the hunt every year. And you're kind of rotating some of those pieces. You're not going to sign, you'll sign your long-term guys, your core, but you'll trade them before that contract's over because you have to. That's how you keep the supply coming. That's how you keep going with it. There will be maybe a year where you take one step back to take 2 steps forward another year. It kind of sucks in a way because I don't think you can replicate what Houston did. They did the same thing. They built a sustainable winning product. They also cheated a little bit, but before that, and it took them 5 years or 6 years, like 5 years to do the rebuild. And the 5th year looked pretty good, but not quite there. The 6th year, they blew it up and they started going. The Baltimore Orioles did the same exact thing. They started their rebuild, and then they went into that year 5, and they were just over 500, made a push for the playoffs, kind of like what the Pirates are doing right now, but they fell short. And then the next year they won 100 games. They went all the way, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is like, it was always 2025 with this front office. They started this thing in 2020. Year 5 was never going to be the blow everything up and go get it and open a small window. They're going to be careful about how they do this. I think, though, Jones and Skenes may change that a little bit. I think they will push a little more than what they thought they would have. If they saw this team as a 78 to 82 team or a win team that was going to toy around with making the postseason, maybe add somebody like a Carlos Santana or something like that down the road, and not saying positionally, but just saying like an older guy that would just be a rental player for the rest of the year. That's what they probably envisioned for this year. You remember last year they said this team's overperforming. They knew they weren't going to go deep.
Right.
Or at least they thought they weren't going to. And they were willing to be patient because they were like, I don't know how far we're going to do this. I don't want to go, too crazy on it.
Yeah.
They have their projections as well. And I don't know. I just think they look at this team right now and they say, maybe not. I think the right deal is going to have to come. But I do think that they'll probably push harder than they thought they were going to have to in April.
Yeah.
You think that's fair?
I think that's fair.
It's going to be really interesting. And I'm going to be so pumped if they do make an impact move. Like, that's what I want them to do as a fan, right? I want to see it now.
Yeah.
I think you can figure it out down the road. If your pitching development has been as good as it is, you'll be able to get more of those guys.
Yeah.
Let Bubba go. Let Solomito go. I think it's going to be Bubba or I don't know. I think Bubba's on the path.
Yeah.
And it stinks because it's like, oh yeah, that guy would be awesome in this rotation.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Ashcraft.
Yeah.
If it's the right piece. I not saying I want it. I'm just not, it wouldn't surprise me.
But Bubba's the better get, right? Like for a team that's wanting to make a deal. So if it's a bigger acquisition, shoot, maybe Bellinger's going to be available. Look at them guys. The Cubs stink. I should be careful saying that. Watch them go on a 10-game winning streak right after I say something like that. 3-7 in their last 10. I mean, their run differential is worse than us, but we've talked about that already. Yeah, they've just been...
Bellinger would be a tough get.
They're only 1 win different than us, right? But they're 3 losses different than us.
Yeah.
So they're not that far away. It's just that they were above us and they've tanked down to that point. Yeah, Mutu, I like what you say here, saying Ashcraft is essentially our only starting pitching depth. The problem is I'm not sure that he is because of innings. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be in the bullpen.
Yeah, and let me clear. I'm not advocating for moving him. It just wouldn't surprise me if that's somebody that they moved.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we've kept everybody here long enough. Guys, everybody who was in the chat live, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. We did go a little bit long this week, so we are kidless this week, me and Katie. And so we are making a trip to Pittsburgh. We're staying in town, and we've added Wednesday to the list now because Keller and Jones have been moved to Tuesday, Wednesday. So we want to make it back for Wednesday's game. So we've added Wednesday. We're going to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going all 4 games. Just trying to get a string of games in there. We talked about going to like some kind of cabin or something. We're like, hey, listen, she came to me and said, this is more our pace. Let's just do this. I was like, hey, I'm not going to argue. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're going in and going to a bunch of games. I could take some stuff and maybe figure something out, but like, I don't know when and where. So you and I will talk in the background about maybe, but chances are I'm giving you guys a few more extra days to catch up with this long one. But I appreciate everybody. You guys have been great. Pitt City, what? Cycle for Wyatt Langford? Cycle? Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. Against the Orioles.
But yeah, if you're listening on audio and you don't normally catch the YouTube live stream or the YouTube video, check it out. We'd like to grow on there a little bit more. So if you haven't liked it or if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Click the bell for notifications, all those things. I think Keely will kind of sum it all up in the outro, right? But
yeah,
please do that. Please do that. And yes, Sherrod, you're right. I am a lucky man.
We're flipped. We're flipped this week, right?
We're flipped. What do you mean?
You're kidless. My nephew's in for the week. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Pit City, what if you're going to be at the game? Hit me up. Let me know. We'll meet up. So, hey, thanks, Dave Thomas. First time live. He's usually audio. Love it. All right, guys. We're getting out of here. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucs.